little bit about what happens when we actually get an accepted offer.
Okay.
So we already mentioned this before. The
Yep.
very first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna get on the phone with that buyer's lender.
Yes.
Make sure that they are actually truly qualified to purchase this home and get any information that they're willing to give us about the buyer's qualification. Once we talk about that and we talk to the seller, we decide that this is a solid seller, we will accept the offer, and then we need to open escrow. So we open escrow immediately. Escrow is a neutral third party that executes our demands based on the contract that we write. So within 1 business day, the buyer will transfer in their earnest money deposit, or EMD. Once that earnest money is deposited, we truly have a ratified contract and we are in the process.
Yep.
So within the first 10 to 15 days, the buyer will have what's called a due diligence period of time. They will order a home inspection that will give them a professional opinion on the condition of the property. Also within that period of time, the lender will order the appraisal. The appraisal is a professional opinion of the value of the property. So again, we've talked about this before, but Charmaine and I show up, we provide comps, we provide copies of the contracts. It takes about 10 days from the time that that appraisal is ordered to the time we get it back. And if all goes well, we get it in at value.
Yes.
If
Or
the appraisal,
above.
or above, a lot of
It's
times it comes in
happened.
above.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what happens when we actually get an accepted offer. And many times we get multiple offers, and it really comes down to deciding who has the best financing, who can close in the period of time that the seller wants to close in.
Right.
And sometimes faster is not always better.
Right.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Sometimes we have scenarios where the seller needs a little bit more time in the house. Maybe they're purchasing a house and they need a lease back. So the highest offer is not always the best offer, and the quickest close is not always the best. And that's what we're here to do, is really help you strategize as a seller on what is best for you.
best.
So once we do accept an offer, we will open escrow. Escrow is a neutral third party that executes our demands based on the contract that we provide. And at that time, within 1 business day, the buyer will actually deposit what's called an earnest money deposit, or an EMD. Once that is deposited into the account, we are fully ratified. We have an actual contract, and we are well within the process.
Yep.
So one of the first things that's going to happen is the buyer's going to order a home inspection, and this is done during our due diligence period of time, which is typically about 15 days right now. So the home inspector will come in, they will check the structure, the foundation, the plumbing, the electrical, the roof, and they will give the buyer their professional opinion of the condition of the property. And at that time, if there's anything that the seller was unaware of, we can negotiate back and forth and decide what needs to be fixed and what is not going to be fixed. Also within that period of time, we'll have the appraisal done. The buyer's lender will order the appraisal. From the time that it's ordered to the time that we get it back is about 10 days, and that's a professional opinion of the value of the property. And again, Charmaine and I will have provided the contracts, we will have provided comparables for the appraiser to be looking at, and they pull their own comparables as well, and they give us their opinion of value of the property. 9 times out of 10, it comes in at value, especially when we price the property.
Yes.
So that's always good. And then that's a major contingency that we have to get past. So once the appraisal comes in at value, we're continuing to move forward in the loan process. The buyer might be being asked for certain documents or letters that need to be written from the lender, and that's just a part of the process. Once they have all their documents completed, once the file is fully underwritten, it'll be time to close. Now, right now, it's about 30 to 45 days. 45 days is kind of what we're seeing as standard right now. We a lot of times get it done in 30 days, but really expect a 45-day close with the new CFPB regulations.
Yeah, that into if there's something that came up on the home inspection report and the seller needs a little bit more time to fix it, sometimes that can hold it up a little bit. But it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's
Exactly.
just you want to make sure everything's fixed properly for when the buyer moves in, that there's no issues.
Absolutely. Again, with the appraisal, that can happen as well.
Exactly.
Sometimes it comes in a little bit under value, and there has to
Right.
be a renegotiation. So those are some of the things that can push the timeline back.
Exactly.
When it's time to close, the buyer will get a closing disclosure, and the seller will get a net sheet as well.
Yes.
And those are going to be the final numbers that will be provided by the title company. At that period of time, Charmaine and I will schedule a signing at the title company. We sit down at the title company or escrow company, same thing here in Nevada. And as a seller, you get the privilege of signing a stack of documents about that thick. By the time you're done signing it, you won't even remember how to sign your name, I promise.
It's a lot of documents.
Exactly. And I go to those signings, myself or Charmaine will be there, more for moral support and just a double checking of all the fees and the rates and
Right.
everything that you're being charged, just to make sure that there's no mistakes on there and that you're comfortable. We might not be able to answer every single question about the title
Right,
documents,
right.
but if you do have a question, we know the people to go to get you that proper answer.
Yeah.
Exactly. So once all those documents are signed, they get sent back to the lender, and then we actually fund the loan, or the buyer's lender funds the loan. And that's when that money is actually deposited into the escrow account. If you have a mortgage balance, it'll be paid off with that fund that is transferred, and then obviously the balance is yours. Depending on the time of day that we sign, a lot of times we'll record that day. If not, we actually record the deed the next day.
The next business day.
The next business day. And when that deed is actually recorded, the property is no longer the seller's, it is now the buyer's.
Yes.
And they can get the keys.
So you get the keys.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right, so I think that covers the majority of the selling process. Is there anything that you think that we missed?
No, I think we covered everything. I think, you know, we try to make it as smooth and as easy as possible. And having gone through the situation ourselves, we can relate, you know, what it's like as a seller, how stressful it is, how exciting it is. There's a lot of different emotions. And that's why I think you and I make ourselves so readily available.
Exactly.
So when
'Cause we've both been buyers and sellers, so we
right.
know.
So when they have, you know, anybody has questions or fears, they can pick up the phone and call and know that, you know,
We're gonna be there.
Exactly.
Exactly. Thanks so much for watching. It's Tam, your Nevada Family Realtor, and remember, we treat you like family.